Got a hot one for you today. Hot. H-O-T-T, hot. Or as they say in Chile, calor. Hace calor hoy, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. Friggin' Seña. Seña at a smoking hot price. You guys know Seña? You do. We talked about it before. We did the 21, right? We did a video on the 21. Yeah, the Seña is the brainchild of Eduardo Chadwick, one of the greatest vintners in Chile, along with the late, great Bob Mondavi. And they got together, and they're both really kick-ass bitchin' people with not a lot of money concerns. And they were like, let's make wine together. And it was like, okay. And as it turns out, newsflash, they're both really good at making wine. And basically what happened is, like, on the first release, they ended up making one of the greatest wines in Chile. And by the third or fourth release, they ended up making one of the greatest wines in the world. So nowadays, Seña is just simply one of the greatest wines in the world. That right? It's okay to say that. That's fair. That is completely fair. And the whole thing was classic Bordeaux blend. You know, they wanted to emulate the wines of Bordeaux, but they also wanted distinctly Chilean, right? So, you know, you got a blend, you got a Cabernet Sauvignon base here, but then a healthy dose of Carmenere, home team, go Carmenere, Chile. And then also I think they swing in some either Malbec or Petit Verdot, something like that, smaller pieces. So classic Bordeaux blend, actually more classic Bordeaux blend than you think, because in the old days, pre-phylloxera, Carmenere had a very welcome home in Bordeaux. Carmenere was actually one of the main Bordeaux grape varieties. And then after the phylloxera root louse came through and Bordeaux got their do-over, Carmenere, along with pretty much Malbec, was one of the varieties that they were like, yeah, no, and kind of moved on from Carmenere. Chile picked up the ball, ran with it. The only problem is Chile didn't know what the hell Carmenere was. So for a century, they thought they had Merlot in their vineyards. And then they found out, and they were like, whoa, okay, cool, what do we do with it? What they discovered is, and a few rare exceptions, Carmenere is a fabulous blending grape. Carmenere really gives the Cabernet Sauvignon nuance and gives it a distinctly Chilean identity that when you taste the wine, you're like, oh yeah, Chile. But the key thing here is Chile's great wines aren't all about being Chilean, right? They go next level. They go next tier, and they turn into something great and wonderful, more like Chateau Margaux, or more like Heights Martha's Vineyard, or Mayacamas, or you know, a lot of these great global wines, they go into this global stratosphere of quality, where you're like, okay, it's Chilean, but it's also great wine. And Seña happily runs in that camp, and has, by the way, forever. You know, when Jim Suckling first started his publication back in 2000, this is what, 2012, right? Back when we got started, actually, right around the same time. He put a special emphasis on the wines of South America. He thought there was something really special going on with South America. He knew that it was in an area that was being exploited for, you know, a lot of critics. Okay, you're a wine critic, right? You're gonna go down and taste in Chile, or you're gonna go taste like effing Romanée-Conti or whatever the hell and fart around Burgundy for 3 weeks? Answer is, you're a wine nerd, you're gonna fart around Burgundy. Suckling, to his credit, was like, let's go fart around in Chile and Argentina. And it worked. He was on the cusp of something really great. He knew a lot of these wines were excelling and becoming next level. And he was the first one to really put your name on it. And he put his name on it. And from there, these wines went international. Because you know, Jim's got a good palate. You can talk about however he reviews wines or whatever, but Jim's got a very informed palate, one of the most informed palates on the planet right now, by the way. Who's been tasting Bordeaux en primeur longer than Jim Suckling at this juncture? Like, no one, or no one relevant. So that being said, he knew these wines were great. So the key was to have greatness attached to them. So some big scores came, some big numbers came, warranted and justified. And what he did is he kind of made the rest of the world kind of go, Chile? And created a scenario where other folks started going down there and tasting the wines. And guess what? When they went down there and tasted the wines, and they were kind of tasting the wines before, right? You know, Chile back in the 90s into the early 2000s, like, oh, send the samples to the office and I'll have a look at them, right? This turned into, no, we need to sit down with these wines and really evaluate them for their greatness. And lo and behold, the rest of the world found out just how great the wines are too. So anyway, the 2020 Seña, 53% Cabernet Sauvignon in this vintage. Yes, 25 Malbec, 15 Carmenere, 7 Petit Verdot. Mostly fermented in stainless steel, a little bit in concrete egg, and then the wine was aged in about 78% new French oak, with a portion of that oak being the super cool Stockinger barrels, the big Stockinger barrels. They're experimenting with those, as is everyone. These Austrian barrels are very special, and Seña's got a little bit of that going on. 20, warm vintage. So if you're a California wine fan, right up your alley. The warmer year, more intensity of flavor, richness, tons of fruit. Gorgeous, spicy, still young, wonderful flavors. Even though it's half Cabernet, you still feel the purity of it, i.e., the rest of the varieties that are here in the blend are kind of buttressing the Cabernet, but they are not making the Cabernet Sauvignon base lose its identity. It doesn't turn into just red wine. This is a Cabernet-based red wine, a la Bordeaux, a la Saint-Julien, a la Pauillac, where the Cabernet is still the main component, the lead vocal, and everything else in the band is just kind of pushing that lead vocal forward. And you really feel it in the Seña. This is a Cabernet-forward wine with incredible nuance from the other varieties. As they say in Boston, wicked good. What would they say in Ithaca or in upstate in Buffalo?
Oh, in Ithaca, they would say it's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. Gorge, G-O-R-G-E-S. What would they say in Buffalo?
Go Bills.
Go Bills. That's Josh Allen someday, Josh. Well, Josh is already winning in life, in case you didn't know. He's already winning pretty good, isn't he? 20 Seña. So, lo and behold, supplier came to us and said, I got a hot deal on Seña for you. And he said it just like that. Like he was doing the whole, hey, I got a hot deal on Seña for you. And we said, how hot? And he went, you can sell it for $100. And we said, that's pretty hot. Because this wine's $1.50. And by the way, a legit $1.50. You pay $150 for this, you're not getting the wool pulled over you. You know what I mean? That's a real $1.50. A legit, beautiful $1.50 in the bottle. Easy. But today, $99.98. $50 a bottle off one of the iconic wines, not just of Chile, but of the planet. Which, by the way, was the highest scoring Chilean wine of the vintage from Wine Advocate. And by the way, was the second highest scoring wine of the vintage from Jim Suckling himself. 98 from Suckling. Cloapalta beat it by a point in 2020, 99. And then from Luis Gutierrez and Wine Advocate, 97 points, which is a big-ass score for a Chilean red wine from Luis Gutierrez. Big-ass score. And again, the wine is in the bottle. When you taste this, this is one of the world's great red wines, and offer this to you at a big 33% haircut is super groovy. The bad side, I think there's less than 100 bottles or something like that. It's pretty limited, in all honesty. So super cool wood cases, lay down wood cases. They're fancy, just like you are. You saw it, tissue, the whole 9 yards. Anywho, click down below, score this wine this week. This is a hot deal. It will sell out, if not at our level, on the distributor level, because I think he did let a few other folks know. So the faster we get in and get more wine for you, the better. Like and subscribe. Enjoy our missives. Tell the world we're here for you. And like I said, hey, the other day we got a shout out from Turley, man. How hot was that? Yeah, they love us. They really do. People are watching. You should too. Cheers.